off-grid tiny house clean? No, it can't be. Well, I don't know about clean, but I did vacuum. I got rid of the work table here. As you can see, it freed up a whole ton of space. Let me go back and look from this side here. So a lot of space freed up there. I'm just letting the wood stove burn down. I already shut the propane off, and I'll show you the temp. Whoops. We're up to, let's take a look, 70.5 Fahrenheit inside and 52.7 Fahrenheit outside, or 21.4 Celsius in and 11.5 out. Not bad for an hour or so of run time. Now, what I gotta show you, which is gonna require me to get a flashlight out, since I don't have anything going on. So, first coming in, guys, I'll show you that again. We got my solar panels, got some foam mats, and then I got more solar panels. And I got my workbench table. I pushed it all the way up against the wall here. So the reason is I can now be working on whatever right here. And you guys can't see squat. I can be working on whatever at the table here and take a look at my solar, see how we're doing. So right now we're sitting at 13.45 volts and we got 6.36 amps incoming charging up the battery, which is pretty sweet. Now let's check out the capacity. We're at 90% at 13.3 volts. Now, I don't know how late it is. I haven't looked at my phone for the time. But what this means is this battery charged up beautifully, even though it was kind of cool in here, but luckily the battery was climatized at home. It took the charge nicely, and by the time, you know, its temperature dropped. What is that noise? Don't know. But by the time its temperature dropped, the tiny house warmed up pretty good. Huh. I don't know what that noise is. Sounds like a squeaky noise. Hopefully not mice. But there's no food in here, so that shouldn't be the issue. So, anyways, after being rudely interrupted by something, not sure what that noise is. Very weird. But isn't it kind of silly? I'm sitting in the dark with a solar battery charging up. I know it's kind of stupid, but basically I'm trying to get this lithium jacked up to almost, well, as full as possible, and then bring it back home for the winter, because I'm not in here full time in the winter, guys. And if I was to leave it hooked up to the MPPT, I don't trust the onboard low temperature cutoff, even though it has one. Because if it fails, your battery is toast. It's just a one-time thing. Whoops. So, what is that noise? Sounds like birds. Must have been a bird or something up there. I'll have to go investigate later. Oh, by the way, I got the this little drapery thing jacked up quite a bit, so a lot of the heat can get back in there, which is a good thing. And it's fairly comfortable back there now. I should take the temperature probe back there, but it'll take too long to do all that nonsense. So, anyways, whew, yeah, I got it pretty comfortable in here. 70s, a little much, and I know most people are like, "What are you talking about? 70s, just okay." The tiny house, I've mentioned this 1,000 times, but the tiny house is insulated with survival blanket material, NASA blanket material, Mylar, radiant barrier material. What is that, and how come I've never heard of it? Well, it is probably the greatest insulation going, I'm gonna say. Now it's not really an insulation, more as like a vapor barrier type material. It's radiant barrier is a shiny material, could be in sheets, could be in bubbles, which and then it does have an R value. They have it in that bubble wrap packing material. I have some, show you. Here's, you guys have seen this stuff. It's bubble material. See if I can find a bubble to pop. Most of them are popped. There's a couple. It's this material that's out there. It's called Reflectix, I think, is one of the companies. And it's coated in the radiant barrier material. And so that actually gives it a nice, it gives it an insulation R value. And it also has the radiant barrier on either side of it. Highly suggest that insulation if you guys are going to be thinking about doing a tiny house or regular house or whatever you want to do. Works awesome. It keeps the heat in a hell of a lot longer than your normal insulation, and it bounces the heat around the area. So, like I did the ceilings, the floors, and the walls in here, except for the far storage room where I did not do the ceiling. But I did the walls, the floor, and not the ceiling in the storage room because I just gave up. I don't know. I wanted to leave that kind of as an unfinished room because I was planning on doing all the solar stuff in there, and that's kind of how it turned out. Doesn't matter. It's still that's the coldest part of the tiny house though, just to let you know. So this material bounces heat around even at 70 degrees, and it really can't get out. It takes a long time for the heat to escape. So it just keeps bouncing around, hitting material and radiant barrier and bouncing back, hitting radiant barrier. It's like a cyclone, invisible cyclone you can't see in here via physics. And same for air conditioning, guys. I ran the air conditioner this year, and I could only run it on low, but because I had the grid insulation, it made it real comfortable in here. Low humidity, very comfortable for work, and you can't beat that. That's basically what you're looking for. Now, when I move in here more full time, I gotta address different issues. Since the generator is going to be outdoors for air conditioning season quite often, I got to figure out how to secure it so nobody walks off with it. All kinds of stuff like that. And snow removal for wintertime on the roof. Stu High Tech I-18 came up with a beautiful idea that we have to figure out how to implement and how to fund. So that's AKA my awesome Patreon members. So we'll have to figure that out. I'll bring that to you in another detailed video, or he can just write it in the comments, a little quick overview. But he came up with that, and I like it. It's because it's automated. I can then it uses my captured rainwater to some degree to get this to function. So I think it's going to work out pretty good. Other than that, so I cleaned up the tiny house. The storage room is kind of a crowded area now, but that's okay because it kind of clears out the area over here in the living room, you can call it. So it's not too bad, not too shabby. Other than that though, guys, I think I'm pretty much out of here for today. I was ripping up some cardboard and stuff and getting it ready for the wood stove. Eventually I'll use that in the wood stove some way, somehow. And other than that, I think we're golden here. So, yeah. I actually did have a little bit of smoke out of the wood stove. And the smoke alarm didn't go off, but it's still flashing its light periodically, so I know it's good. But I did have the smoke alarm kind of lower. It's not attached to the ceiling where it should be. So I'm gonna have to mount it up there somehow, someday here. But other than that, should be good. So yeah, got it nice and toasty in here. Like I say, I'm waiting for my battery to completely top off, go into float mode. Then I'm going to disconnect it, bring the battery home with me for the rest of the winter, and then we're good to go. So, can't really beat that whatsoever. I don't know what to expect this winter. We had polar vortex the last couple winters, and it was horrendously cold. We broke a record the first time we got hit with the polar vortex. This was all before my dad got cancer and everything. My parents went on their vacation. I was charged with watching the house, and that night we had extreme wind chill with the polar vortex at the same time. Now, it was like, we broke a record. It was like negative 43 or some goofy number, and with the wind chill, it was like negative 50 or something, I would imagine. It was insane. At our house, which is what was fairly well insulated at the time, it didn't do much because the extreme cold with the wind chill, it felt like the insulation was not even a factor. It didn't do much, put it that way. So the furnace at the house was cycling quite often that day, and night especially, and it was insane. So that's why I'm bringing the battery home. Now you guys are saying, well, what about the battery back there? That one, after seeing what lithium does, I'm not too concerned about AGM. Eventually, I would like to switch that one over to a battery like this. That would be nice. Have to save up for it. Currently, I'll let you guys know, and my Patreon members know, that I'm saving all the Patreon money up for another one of those batteries that will be going back there, and I'll daisy chain them together in parallel, which would give me 200 amp hours, and that kind of balances us out a little better with using the induction hub and all that, because that's a lot of amps for that thing. So, but then again, I was doing a demo video. I don't normally crank it up to 600 and cook on that. It's either 4 or 2, and for a very shorter period of time, because I had that cup full, quite full with water. Don't need all that. So, I'm not too worried about these guys. Stu said I could take home the blue guy, but I'm kind of keeping him here because he's actually charging up all my little lithium packs that run certain things like the wood stove. It's running the fan up there, the blue fan, not the thermoelectric one, but the blue one in the back, and seems to do quite well at that. And it charges the battery pack so I can run the propane stove, because the propane stove runs on 5 volts of power, guys. That's it. Can you believe it?